All right. To kick things off this week, I thought I would do a callback to a very amusing story that we've all enjoyed. I'm speaking, of course, about Rand Paul, Senator Rand Paul, son of Ron, getting absolutely laid out and annihilated by his next door neighbor in a property line / lawn dispute. Y'all remember that one?
That classic middle American tale, a man and his lawn.
It has now come time for his neighbor, who is one Dr. Boucher, Bouchard, I don't know.
Boucher, probably, would be my guess.
One of the descendants of Bobby Boucher, the water boy, another rage-based combatant.
So it says the filing offers, I'm reading here from just a news account of this court filing, and it says, the filing offers context into what led to the November 3rd incident in the River Green subdivision where Paul and Boucher are neighbors. On that date, Paul was tackled outside his residence while doing yard work. Boucher told law enforcement that he ran onto the senator's property and tackled Paul after he witnessed Paul stack brush on top of a pile near his property.
That motherfucker!
Baker's filing makes the case that the roots of the tackling incident could be traced to the summer of 2017 when Boucher trimmed the limbs on a few maple trees on the property line dividing the Boucher and Paul properties.
That motherfucker.
Prior to the trimming, the branches were low to the ground and extended a substantial distance across Boucher's property. In September 2017, Paul piled limbs and remnants from freshly trimmed shrubs onto a spot on Paul's property, but just off the property line with Boucher.
I'm not violating the NAP.
This pile measured about 5 feet high and 10 feet long, according to Baker's filing. On October 10th, Boucher gathered up the pile of debris, placed it into a portable dumpsters, and had it hauled away. Even though this debris was not on Dr. Boucher's property, he viewed it as unsightly, as it was placed directly in his line of sight from his patio and the back door of his house, the memorandum states. The brush pile was reconstructed on October 13th or 14th, and Boucher had the debris removed a few days later, only for a new pile to be made in the same spot on October 20th or 21st.
Go ahead, Senator Paul.
So,
where's he getting all this fucking brush? How many fucking trees do they have on this property?
Well, you know,
5 feet high.
Federal Marshal Raylan Givens was sent to protect Senator Paul because it falls under his jurisdiction, but he found that the trees are cover for Rand Paul's Krugerrand laundering scheme.
Well, actually,
and he put Rand Paul down in a duel because Rand Paul tried to draw a flintlock pistol.
What actually happened was Dr. Boucher, he vaccinated all the limbs of the trees on Dr. Paul's property and then went away. And when he came back, they were all piled up in a pile on the property line. And then it hit him like a diamond. The commitment that it would take to do something like that.
A pile of inoculated limbs.
The story goes on, though. It's not just the limbs we're talking about here. On November 2nd, a day before the tackle, Boucher used gasoline to burn a pile of yard debris that had been constructed just off the property line with Paul. A fireball created from the burn caused Boucher to sustain second-degree burns on both of his arms as well as the left side of his neck and face, for which Boucher began seeking medical treatment November 7th. Dr. Boucher literally became Two-Face after he decided to burn a pile of trees and leaves on the property line. On November 3rd, Paul used his lawnmower to blow leaves from his property onto Boucher's yard, according to Baker. During this process, Rand Paul stepped away from his lawnmower, gathered several branches from an adjacent pile of trash, and placed them in the exact location where the last pile had been burned just 1 day prior, Baker said in the filing. As Dr. Boucher had stated throughout, he lost his temper and tackled Rand Paul as Paul was carrying branches from another location on his property and placing them on the property line. Immediately after the incident, Paul referred to Boucher as crazy. Boucher told Paul that he wanted this to stop. Paul replied that the police would be visiting Boucher.
911, what is your emergency?
I was assaulted by my neighbor, and it's not a life and death thing, but I'd like to have a police car come by.
Okay, let me put you through the state police. Stay on the line, okay?
All right, you're going to send somebody?
I got to put you through the state police. Stay on the line, okay?
All right.
Where's your emergency?
I was assaulted by a neighbor, and I'd like the police to come and investigate and talk to the neighbor.
Okay. Where did the assault happen at?
In my yard while I was mowing the grass.
What's your name, sir?
Randall Paul, P-A-U-L.
So, real fucking libertarian of Rand here.
Broke the NAP. We have to disavow. We disavow Rand Paul.
No, he didn't break the NAP. That guy broke the NAP by tackling him. All he was doing was repeatedly and seemingly psychotically stacking limbs of trees right in front of this guy's property, which, who cares? But also, it surely just says what we were talking about over the weekend, this suburban psychosis on both sides of this guy being driven to insanity by just the sight of some trees right off of his property, and of Rand Paul just maniacally, like a fucking worker ant, just piling up the sticks right on the other side of the property line over and over again, no matter how many times the guy removed them.
But also, it goes on.
Want to know how I enforce these contracts?
It goes on. It says the memorandum filed Friday quotes what Baker said is a victim impact statement from Paul filed May 21st, in which the senator says, quote, he can only assume that Boucher's deep-seated anger towards me commingles with his hatred of my political policies, and states that Boucher must be suffering from a personality disorder, substance abuse, intense political hatred, or all of the above. Baker called those allegations completely unfounded. Dr. Boucher has adamantly denied any such political motivations throughout, as even the suggestion of them is completely unfounded and simply not true.
Yeah, I'm going to guess the millionaire dickhead doctor who lives in the fucking
subdivision
suburb next to Rand Paul probably isn't pissed at him for his contribution to American empire. He's probably just pissed about the lawn.
But I do like that, again, Rand Paul, principled libertarian, is trying to get his neighbor done up on terrorism charges by pretending that this is some kind of political dispute.
Look, you violate the NAP, and then you are totally in your right to bring the agents of state down to fucking wreck your shit. That's the only reason they're there. They're basically there to wait for somebody to get tackled on their lawn and then arrest the guy who did it.
Dr. Boucher does seem like a psycho, too.
Oh, absolutely.
But I love the idea of him just being perpetually driven ever and ever closer to this explosion of violence by Rand Paul, like you said, just robotically stacking trash and debris on the same place over and over again after this guy has literally paid for a dumpster to remove it because he finds it unsightly.
Now that's neighborly is what I call it.
No, this is real suburb mindset going on here.
These are the people who are going to ruin all of us.
Hello, do you have a letter of marque to enter my residence?
Yeah, hey Rand, it's your neighbor. Just noticed that you've been digging a large ditch between our property lines, and I don't think that's covered by any easements with the city. Wondering what's going on, buddy?
A ditch is only a moat when it's not fully grown. Now, I'm building a moat because in the Articles of Confederation, they enumerated our right to put sea monsters that demarcated our property between us and hip-hop gangs, jackbooted thugs, and Planned Parenthood.
Oh, well, I mean, I understand that totally, Rand, but, you know, my grandkids are come over here sometimes. I don't want them falling into a moat, especially if there's going to be sea monsters, and I really need to know more about that if I'm going to sign off on any of this.
Well, according to maps of the Orient, they have a new type of alligator over there, the likes of which those of us in the West have not seen. But your grandkids, they don't have a right not to be eaten. I have a right to have a moat. You don't have a right to not enjoy my moat.
Yeah, I'm not going to enjoy your moat, Rand. I'm going to need you to fill in these holes before someone gets hurt, please.
The only thing that's getting hurt is the Fourth Amendment. You've illegally entered my property and tried to enforce your personal preferences on my right to have river dragons, tributary creatures, and all variety of slimy crustacean types that will prevent outsiders from entering my domicile and harming me.
This is it. This is your last chance, Rand. I've been a good guy about this. I've sent you a bunch of letters. You've got to fill this fucking hole.
I consider myself a gentleman, but you've left me with no choice. I challenge you to a debate.
Okay. How about your ass debates my fucking foot? How about that?
Well, since neither of those can emit words, I fail to see how that is going to happen. I can see why your objection to the moat is so great, because you can only understand force. Argument ab absurdum. Oh, of course, ad hominem. Oh, God, Jesus. Oh, no. You hear a permaband from my residence.
Fighting Rand Paul.
Rand Paul's
The
fucking
fighting the senator.
badass.
Now,
Pain don't hurt. It's not in the Constitution.
mind over matter. If it's not in the Constitution, it doesn't matter.
You're telling me I know Kung Fu. No, Rand. You just get your ass kicked all the time.
I like when you're doing it, it's just like, if you had allowed me to dress like the Matrix twins, then this maybe the fight would have turned differently.
They have dreadlocks, but they're not only white gentlemen, but albino, one could say. It makes you think. It makes you scared. It makes you excited.
So, out of every U.S. senator to get just laid out
Rinsed.
in a fight and just get demolished in a fight, Rand is definitely the funniest.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I was thinking about this, like, Ted Cruz would be the most psychically satisfying for just have that awful nose just pushed into his head.
Tom Cotton's giraffe neck flying as he gets fucking socked.
Like, there are people that probably deserve it more than him, but Rand is easily the
Oh,
funniest.
yeah, just squawking about the NAP while they're stomping on his head.
Oh yeah, he's like all things go back to Eminem. This is the scene in 8 Mile where he gets jumped by the free world, and later he's on stage at a debate. He's like, "I did get jumped by all six of you, argument ad absurdums."
I saw
You went to
Rand's-
Cranbrook. That's a public school. Public schools are not as good as private schools.
I don't know how you come back from getting nearly killed. People need to remember this. He got 5 ribs broken,
Yeah.
including punctures that could have killed him by a fucking retired. What kind of doctor was he? He invented some sort
He
of
was an anesthesiologist.
an anesthesiologist.
The
I thought he
hardest
was a
type.
rival ophthalmologist.
I've got a
Yo.
real fucking degree, by the way, motherfucker.
That community is incredibly violent.
He's like,
People don't
"Hold-
talk.
hold on, can you read this sign?" He puts it up, and then it's just a fist going through.
Yeah, but the guy, a retired anesthesiologist who invented some sort of like back pain vest that like helps you with lumbar support, and he just nearly murders you in your own home.
Well, he has an amazing lumbar core area. So this is
He speared him like Goldberg,
The
probably.
part is like if his neighbor was Brian Dawkins and you give him a 20-yard running start, like how many more ribs would he break? Like it's just like unreal that this could be done from a standing start. I mean, who's exactly as tall as him? It's like 2 5'8" guys just squaring off.
See, it's confusing because I would have thought that the unpasteurized milk he drinks would have more calcium, but apparently less.
Well, no, I mean, he needs. I mean, he's not the libertarian his dad is. His dad is drinking colloidal silver. He probably has metallic ribs. You could never do that.
He's like
Yeah.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I really think it confirms everything I've ever felt about Rand Paul is that he's just never had respect from anyone ever in any situation.
No, yeah, that's true.
He literally he said something like criticizing Trump at the debate, and Trump was like,
First of all, Rand Paul shouldn't even be on this stage. He's number 11. He's got 1% in the polls, and how he got up here, there's far too many people. Anyway.
and it ended his campaign. It
Yeah.
literally ended it.
He is the Jeb Bush of libertarianism.
Yeah.
Like, he is the fail son who's just going to let the family heritage go to ruin by being just pathetic and charismaless.
I never attacked him on his look, and believe me, there's plenty of subject matter right there. That I can tell you.